Chumash Rashi, Torah portion, Shoftim. We are on the fifth reading. Get right into it. Because these nations, some that you are going to take inheritance possession of, they have amongst them diviners, and soothsayers Yishma'u. They listen to and you not so. Has given you these things like this. Not so, as Hashem your God has given to you, lishmaya to listen, to the diviners, by kaismim, or to the soothsayers. Sharei hishra shchina al hanevim b'orim v'tumim. Well, how come? You don't need it. How come? Because God, He put His divine presence on the prophets and the Urim V'Tumim that the Kohen Gadol would wear, and therefore, you need to know whatever you need to know. They will tell you. They will tell you. Navi bikir, a prophet amongst you, from your brothers, kamaini, like me. Yokim lecha, I will set for you. I will set up for you. Hashem Elokecha, Hashem Yagab, a love tishmo. To Him, you've got to listen. Rashi mikir b'cha me'achecha kamaini. It's interesting. A prophet that's among you, from your brothers, right? Like me. Huh? Well, who's speaking is Moshe? He's speaking, no, all prophets for all generations. He's not just speaking now.
Okay.
Right? Just like I'm amongst you, and I'm of your brothers, right? He has set up, God has set up for you, tachtai, in my place. Likewise from prophet to prophet. Yeah, right? Otherwise, you're right. Yeshua is the next one, but then from prophet to prophet. 16. And according to all of that you have asked of Hashem your God, b'chayriv, at Chayriv, meaning Mount Sinai, b'yoim hakil, hakol lemar, in the day of assembly, saying, le'osif lishmaya es kol Hashem. Let us not continue to hear from the voice of God. Elokai, my God, Hashem, my God. There's a Eish HaGedolah, and this great fire, Hazois, Loyera, Oy V'Loyamus, that this great fire I shall no longer see, and I will not die. In other words, it's too lofty of a revelation, right? So that's what you told me then. In other words, I wanted to give you the power that you could, have that close relationship with me. That's what Moshe actually wanted, right? The Jewish people, it was too much for them. And Hashem said to me, Hashem said to Moshe, Heitiva Asher Diberu, what they have said is correct, right? Navi Akim Lahem, I will set up a prophet for them, from amongst their brothers, Kameicha, like you. And Asati Devare Befi, but I will give my word. God is saying, I will give my word in His mouth, Vidiber Aleihim, and He will speak to them, to the Jewish people, that which I command them. So a very important point over here, that God is saying very clearly that there's going to be always prophets in every generation, and we need to listen to them. Moshe was the first prophet. Then comes Yeshua, and every generation has our generation. It's a Rebbe, exactly. El Devarai. And it will come to pass a man who will not listen to my words, that he will speak in my name, I will exact it from him. Yeah, it's not good. Okay, that's a proper prophet. Now, of course, there can be an improper prophet, just like there can, everything is equalized between good and evil, right? Chanavi. However, the prophet Asher Yazi, that it will intentionally L'davar davar bishmi, to speak a word in my in my name. Eis Asher lo tzivisa, that which I did not command him. I didn't tell it to the Navi. V'diber L'daber, and he spoke. Asher Yedaber b'shem Lakim Acherim, but he's speaking in the name of other gods. V'meisa Navi Ahu. That prophet is going to die. Rashi. Rashi in 20. Which I have not commanded him to speak about, but I did command to his fellow prophet. As the verse should have said, which I have not commanded to speak. Why do you mean I cannot commanded him to speak? So it implies that if the prophet knows a message told by God to another prophet, he may not communicate that message to the people. Right? As if God spoke to him. No, he spoke to someone else. You're not the prophet to come and tell someone else's prophecy. Okay. That's what sir. So, right. So, sorry. He speaks in the name of other gods. Afilu kivenes halacha. Even if he states the law properly, lesser is also to forbid that which is forbidden, and to permit that which is permitted. But he's not saying in the name of God. In others, like, he is, God is not his source, but yet he is coming up with the right conclusion let's say in the law, right? Nonetheless, he's a false prophet. Omeis, and he shall die. Bechenik, by strangulation. There are three whose sins involve prophecy, whose death is carried out by human hands, meaning the court of 23 judges. Maybe it's not, but Mashallah one who prophesies what he did not hear, or Mashallah and that which was not said to him, but it was said to a different prophet, even if he heard the divine communication to the other prophet. Or someone who prophesies in the name of a pagan deity. Right. So those three instances, you get death by the hands of a court of 23, minimum 23. But someone who suppresses his prophecy, who did that? Jeremiah, right? He did that. And we read that on Yom Kippur. Okay. So he doesn't want to give over the prophecy. Aver al divrei navi, or someone who violates the words of prophet, aver al divrei atzmai, or violates his own words of the prophecy. He says, midishmaim, they don't get death penalty from the hands of a court, but by the hands of heaven. Shenemar, as it says, I will demand of him. Right? We said that. Here in the previous verse 19. Okay. 21. Now, if you will say in your heart, how am I going to know? So how am I going to know if Hashem spoke to him or not? Good question, huh? Tricky one indeed. How will I know? Rashi 21. You're destined to say this. When Hanani, the son of Azur, shall come. I mean, it's not and prophecy. With a prophecy, Vihine, Klei Beis Hashem, Ushavim, Bevavalata Mehera. And he said, Behold, the vessels of the house of Hashem are now being returned quickly from Babylon. Yirmiyahu stood up, Jeremiah stood up and cried out, Al Hamudim. Yeah, about the pillars, Alayam, and about the sea, Al Yasher Kelim, and about the rest of the implements of the base of Migdash, Shaloi Galoim Yachanya, that were not carried into exile with Yachanya when Yachanya was exiled. And they shall be brought to Babylon, Im Golas Tzidkiyahu, with the exile of Tzidkiyahu.
Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll learn more about him.
22.
Makes sense. 22.
That which he will speak the Navi in the name of God, and this thing will not come to pass. And so, and the thing doesn't occur and does not come about. That is the thing that Hashem did not speak to him, right? Which he said, right? The prophet had spoken intentionally, and you shouldn't be afraid of him. Right? People are going to be afraid, right? That's one of the things they're going to be afraid that, he's a prophet of God and I got to listen. No. It didn't come to pass what he said.
That's the way to tell.
Yeah, that's one of the ways he's telling, exactly. 22, with Rashi, that which the prophet will speak, Yomer, and he will say, this thing is destined to befall you. And you will see that it does not come to pass. And this is the thing that God did not speak to him. Say that person should be killed. Right? He said that such and such is going to happen and didn't happen. Right? That's only if it's a positive thing, not a negative thing. And if you will say, this is a person who prophesies about the future, but if he comes and says, do such and such, I'm telling you this from the word of God. In other words, God has come to me and told me this is what you need to do. Right? How can you tell if that person is a genuine prophet or not? In other words, if he comes and tells you that, you're going to have something marvelous going to happen to the community and it didn't happen, he's a false prophet. But if he comes and tells you, God says you got to do such and such, well, you're not going to know, you're not going to know in and of itself.
No.
Yeah. So he's telling you to do, so how are you going to know he's a genuine prophet? So we're commanded about this. If he comes to push you away, from one of all of the commandments, like don't listen to him. Unless you've made certain about him. That he's a completely righteous individual, like Eliyahu by Mount Carmel. Shehikri b'bama, that he brought an offering on a bama, b'shas these are bamas, when there was prohibition that you cannot bring. A bama is a platform outside of Jerusalem, right? Once Jerusalem was chosen as the home of God, you can't bring offerings anywhere else. He did. He brought it on Mount Carmel, right, against the prophets of Baal, and you're not allowed to do that. But we already know that he was a completely righteous person. And therefore, when he does such a thing, this is called Hakel Lefi Tzorech Shah. This is according to the necessity of the hour, V'siyag Pirza, to make a fence, defense the breach that we were required because it was a breach because of the prophets of Baal. To him you should listen.
Have to test this prophet first.
Well, no, in the instance that you know
Yeah.
that he is a tzaddik gomer, right?
Yeah.
So then you got to listen to him, right? Because he's already been tested, right?
Okay.
If though he comes and he's changing something and you don't have proof that he's a tzaddik gomer, you're not allowed to listen
have
to
to
him
test him.
because you test to see if what he says is going to come to fulfillment. Yes.
Have to say, hey, do this or this or.
Well, I don't know if it's done that way, but he has to. He's the one who has to come forward. Don't be afraid of him. Don't hold yourself back to argue in favor of his guilt. Don't be fearful to give him a punishment. Right? He's deserved of it. So don't be fearful. Which naturally, a person would be fearful.
You gotta be careful. False prophet has to be careful, eh?
False prophet. Well, a false prophet shouldn't be a false prophet. Should be careful to make sure he doesn't. I mean, like a thief should be careful, steal in a way that you won't get caught. Is that the message? No, the message is don't be a thief, don't be a false prophet. Okay.
That's right.
All right. Next chapter 19, verse 1. When Hashem is going to cut off all the nations, that Hashem, your God, is giving to you is Artsam, their land. Like, how many times? You know what? I finally get it. You know why God is saying so many times that he's giving this land that you're going to inherit, that you cut off those nations, they're going to expel those nations, well, all different languages, right? All the same idea. You know why? Because it doesn't matter. As many times as God says it, it doesn't seem to penetrate. It doesn't seem to penetrate. At least in the world, it doesn't penetrate. And unfortunately, with some Jews, it still doesn't penetrate. So God is constantly saying this, that we shouldn't forget that, yeah.
In our Siddur, when we pray, he says it a few times.
Yeah, but you have to do okay. Shoftim, and you will dwell be'areim in their cities, be'batehim in their houses. Sholosh arim tavdil. 3 cities you should separate for yourselves b'toich artzacha in the midst of your land. Asher Hashem that Hashem your God is giving to you to possess. Once again, there you again and again. Unreal.
He's just reviewing it. Or it's Rambam, I'm thinking of.
We did Ari Miklat. We did, Anyway, let's just learn and let's see what comes up. Okay.
Sure.
But yes, we have learned it in Rambam and in Chumash. We had it in Parsha. Okay. Talking lecha. Okay. Talking lecha. Prepare for yourself. Haderech, the path. The shalalshta is gvul arsachan. You should divide into 3 parts the boundary of your land. That Hashem is inheriting your God for you. And every killer can run there. Rashi in 3. Prepare for yourself the pathway. Miklat, refuge. Hayakosu was written. Aproshes drachim on the crossroads. Psh. Wow. See, this is where you get the idea that you need to have signage up to give directions. This is directions on the pathway towards the city of refuge that a person needs to know when he's running, right? There's a fork in the road. Does he use a spoon instead? No one laughed at that. Either no one's listening. Either no one's listening. Either no one's listening.
They're not smart enough.
I don't know. Or maybe it was just too stupid.
I never would have understood.
All right. So next Rashi, you should divide the boundary of your land into three. That there should be from the beginning of the boundary until the first city shall miklat of the refuge, city of refuge. Kishir mahalach, that there should be an amount of travel like the distance yesh mimena from it ad shniya until the second. Is likewise from the second to the third. And likewise from the third al gvul hasheni shall Eretz Yisrael, the border of Israel. So here, let's just kind of.
Finally. Wow. Well,
So here, let's say here's the land of Israel, right? So here are the three cities, equal distance from this border, from that border, and in between each other. Okay, that's what Rashi just said. Number 4. And this is the thing or the case of the killer. Ashayanu Shama, that he runs there, and he will live. Right. Yakis Ehu believed us that he will live there. Whoever strikes his fellow das unintentionally, of whom he did not hate from the day before. So in other words, who could run there? There's going to be a city of refuge. Someone who accidentally, unintentionally killed another individual who he did not hate the previous day.
Revenge, they want to get him in revenge.
No.
They kill him in revenge.
Well, one second. No. Who is this city going to be a refuge that will protect this individual? Because we use the word killer. So killer might mean someone intentional who killed another. No, intentionally, if you killed another, the city of refuge will not help you. You will go to court and you could be executed, right? It's a possibility. You're liable for that at least. But here we're talking about someone unintentionally killed somebody. That person, even if it's unintentional, he still has to go to the city of refuge in order to have refuge. Otherwise, he's in
refuge from somebody who wants to get revenge on him.
Yes.
Like family or something.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Okay. So now he's giving the further example of what this means, and this will be the gather, the definition of someone who is unintentional in their killing. Right. So we're talking about this someone who didn't hate this guy yesterday, and he is unintentional. So he explains the verse number 5. And a man who goes out with his fellow biyar in the forest, to chop wood. Right? And bigarzin, and he swings the axe in order to cut down the tree. But nashal barzel, and the iron flies off the handle. Mina eitz, right? Flies off the end. And the nashal is and it flies off, and it the barzel, the metal of the axe from the wood, right? They separated. Omatis and it came upon and it found his friend Vames, and he died. Hu Yanus he has to go and flee to one of these cities in order that he should live. Rashi in 5. Vinitchi Yadeh, and his hand swings. When he comes to make the axe fall, al ha'etz onto the wood. Ketargumoi tis mareg Yadeh. Like Unkelis says, Rag Mare. Yadai, he swings.
In other words, the implication is if he swings it backwards and it flies off, he's gonna be guilty.
Yes, then it'll be
It has to be that he hit the tree and to go forward, and then bounced off.
because Unkelis says Lashon hitis rameg yodei nishmeta yodei. That means that the hand will shift to make the axe fall ala eitz onto the wood of the tree. Kishamata abaka v'tirgim yenisen ari migarai teraya. Ari meragu teraya v'shamata. Like the so. For example, so if you took the axe and you went back with it and it fell off, that means you were responsible for that act. Why? Because obviously it was loose, right? And you weren't careful. So that's like manslaughter, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But if you then went and hit the tree and it went flying off the tree because of the pressure, so you were not what's the word? Negligent, that's the word. Thank you. We were not negligent, and therefore it's called inadvertent, and therefore you killed the person. You need to go to the city of refuge in order to be protected. It doesn't work for negligence, exactly.
Totally accidental.
Yeah. Exactly. There are those of the sages who say that the iron axe had slipped off the wooden handle. That the iron axe has slipped off the wooden handle. Does it say? That the iron would dislodge a piece of wood being chopped, and it shot out in Baharga and it killed. Wow, so that's very interesting. Right. Okay. Not so obvious, I guess. Okay. Pen Yirdev Goyal Adam Achri Haritzel. Because last what's going to happen is the Goyal Adam is the family blood pursuer. Goyal Redeemer. He's the redeemer of blood because his relative was killed. Achri Haritzel, after this killer, Yecham Levavai, and his heart is hot. Ki Yecham Levavai, Vehisigo, and he's going to reach this guy who inadvertently killed. Ki Yarbe Haderech V'Yiko Nafish, because of the long way, and he strikes him to death. V'Lo Yein Mishpat Mavis, so where he is not responsible. And he had so he doesn't have a death sentence, and he didn't hate him from before Shilsheim, from the past. Rashi pen Yudai Fachri Adam. That's why I say to you that you need to prepare the path, right? We're writing signs so people know which way to go. And you have to prepare many cities of refuge so a person can get there. Therefore, I'm commanding you, saying that you should set aside 3 cities. And if Hashem, your God, will expand your boundaries, he did swear to your fathers. Who did he swear to? That was Avram, right? He's Kini Kanezi Kadmaini. Transjordan, and he's going to give you the entire land that he spoke to your forefathers. He give you the three nations, Transjordan. 9. It's called the mitzvahs, and when you keep all of these mitzvahs to do them, that I'm commanding you today, to love Hashem your God, and to go in His path, all of the days, and you will add to yourself three more cities upon these. By the way, Rambam learns from this, and the Rebbe gives a very intriguing explanation, because Rambam uses this in the laws of Mashiach, that there's still a mitzvah outstanding that needs to be done in the times of Mashiach that you can't do now. Now you can put on tefillin, now you can keep Shabbos, now you can do all the mitzvahs, right? We'll do them much better when Mashiach comes, but you can do them all now, except this mitzvah over here, adding 3 new cities. That can only be done when you're expanded the land of Israel. That will include the eastern part of on the other side of the Jordan, right, and all the way up to the Euphrates up north, and right.
That's not where God is. That's further.
No, that is that yes, but. So the verse is giving over here that there will be a mitzvah that you need to do, and therefore gives a permanence and eternity to it through the mitzvah.
Future.
Okay. 10. And you should not spill innocent blood in the midst of your land that Hashem is giving it to you. Constantly repeating that God is giving it to you. And it's the most difficult thing for a Jew to say, that this is a God-given land. Wow. Pesach, what a prophecy over here, huh? Every parsha must have 10 to 20 times that God is saying the land that I'm giving to you. Not the land of your forefathers trod upon it, not where you have your history. That's not what it's saying. Oh my gosh. I don't know if this is the Rebbe. I don't recall the Rebbe bringing this point out. Maybe he has. But like it's so no that it's said 10 to 20 times in a parsha. That point, the point that it's so oft repeated. You're right. Like not the first. It's not just the first Rashi.
It's
right?
spread through the whole Chumash and beyond.
Again, that's not. We just pointed that, but I don't recall that's how the Rebbe. Anyway, okay. He's giving to you an inheritance, and then this will be upon you blood, meaning guilt.
Because that's when faith is very difficult to have.
If a person will hate his friend, his fellow, the Aravlai, and he waits for him, become a love, and he stands up, rises upon him, against him, and strikes him, nephesh, a person, and he dies, and he will flee to one of these cities. We'll see in a moment. It's not going to help him. He's when a person will hate his fellow, but through his hatred, who bali they are, if he comes to ambush him. From here we learn that they say, if a person will transgress a light commandment, in the end, he's going to violate a more severe, right? As our verse points out, that he violated a relatively simple commandment that you should not hate your brother in your heart. So what happens in the end? He's going to come to spill blood. Therefore it says, when there will be a man who hates his fellow, that it should have said, why you have to say about his hate? Just say that he ambushed him. Be selfish and he mortally killed him, right? That's all you had to say. Why do you have to say that he hated him? This is to teach you that it starts with a hatred in, take the other one. Yeah. It starts with a hatred that will then lead you to become a killer. So don't hate.
Crime needs a motivation. Crime needs a, right? It's not a crime. Something that was unintended is not a crime.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's not what Rashi pointed out. Right? Rashi pointed out, not that that don't hate your brother in your heart, then you won't come to that. That right? Don't think that to be a small thing, that I hate somebody in my heart, right? I hate my fellow in my heart, and that's a small thing because I'm not gonna. I didn't even say anything to him. I didn't even kill him. No. It's gonna lead to that. That's the point of Rashi. Right, and they will send the elders of the city, and they will take him from there. Why? And we'll give him in the hands of the avenger, and he will die.
And Rashi doesn't say anything.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Because you don't give him into the hands of the avenger and she shall die.
Well, let's see the next pasuk maybe. Don't have mercy upon him, compassion. You should destroy. You should abolish the blood of the the blood of the innocent of Israel. And it'll be good for you. Let's see Rashi. Don't say, one guy already died, so what's the point, right? Wow, Lama you're gonna kill a second. Like, why should you do that? So stupid, right? What a rationality, right? What a rationalization, right? Wow, that's what's happening over here in Israel also. 1,200 Jews were killed, but why should you go and kill other people?
Why should you kill Palestinian babies?
Yeah, why should you do that? Wow, very interesting.